Okay, this is Uncle Timo. Second video in the series. Well, like I promised, let's make a new campaign. We are going to do the Soviet one, which is USSR. We're gonna go with the lowest of the low, which is the Mladší Lieutenant, which is the opposite of Senior Lieutenant, which is this one. So we're just beginning. Let's see what happens. We are going to do, because I have done a, well, we can do Leningrad, but let's do just fighter. Okay, we're going to do a dynamic campaign for fighter. Let's set it up. Flight model, everything is going to be on. We want it to be as realistic as possible. Weapons, everything on. We want it to be as realistic as possible. Views. Views we're going to change. We're going to have external views, players on view. I want to see the camera, I want to see the action in this Let's Play, so let's do it. Cockpit always on. I never turn the cockpit off, but just in case I press something, I want it to be always on. Padlock I don't care about, don't use it. Ground padlock, also don't use it. No speed bar. Well, I want to see the speed. I don't want to see the actual instrument flying. It's possible in this game to do instrument flying and actually use beacons for navigation, but I am hardcore, but not that hardcore. So we're gonna keep the speed bar on here so we see how fast we're going. Icons and map. Also not that hardcore. We're gonna see the minimap, the path, which is the path my airplane is supposed to be flying. We can turn it off, and then we're gonna have to fly by do actual navigation. Recognize terrain features. Yes, you can do that. There are people who do that. Recognize terrain features, a lake, a river, bridge at the river, etc. And then fly using those. Not that hardcore, so we are going to keep that. HUD icons. Basically, HUD icons is stuff that says here flaps up, up and down. Also, actually no, I'm wrong. HUD icons is we're gonna see airplanes which are within 5 kilometers close to us. Basically, we are going to see either blue or red, and we're gonna see text which is gonna say which airplane they are. And the closer we are, the more, the better identification we'll get of them. Also, we're gonna get distance to them. Because my eyesight is what it is. It's actually not that bad. It's great, but we are not an actual pilot. This is a normal 1080p monitor. The dots could be hard to spot. This is a War Thunder, we're flying versus AI, so we're gonna keep it on. Path and no player map icon is no. I want to see my actual airplane where we are on the map. Miscellaneous, everything on, which is wind and turbulence, head shake, etc. Realistic navigation, why not? And no instant success is off. What does it mean? It basically means that if we totally, how do I say this nicely, mess up the mission, we can still apply the results. We don't have to replay the mission. The mission does not have to be a success for us to get through the mission. If we survive, if we're not captured, and we totally mess up something, we don't shoot down the target, we don't achieve the mission objectives, that's okay, the war goes on. So that's basically that. Let's try it. Let's see what airplanes we have. We're not born in Düsseldorf because we are now, let's say we are Russian. Let's say we're not Mongolian. Yes, we were Mongolian. There was actually a Mongolian, Tatar hero of the Soviet Union, a flyer, great flyer, Sultan Khan, I believe. But let's say we're born in a little crappy place, village called Kolkhovskaya. Great! We are in a really crappy place. We're not guards. We are just going to be the 1/16th fighter unit. VVS stands for Russian acronym. It's basically Air Force. Okay, now this is the campaign. And here are the battles in the campaign. Each battle takes place in different time period. which is a huge deal because different airplanes are available. So we are starting with the I-16 Type 18. Let's do that. Let's change it then to a better one, which would be Lag 3. I wanna fly the plethora of Soviet. There are not only Russians fighting, there are Ukrainians, Mongolians, Tatars. Russia now, and that's definitely USSR before, was a multicultural dictatorship, but a multicultural country with all kinds of people. So let's see what we got here. Okay, then we got Crimea 42, so we're gonna defend Moscow in our MiG-3, which I listened to Prokrushkin's video on a YouTube channel, and wow, did he disparage this aircraft? He said that it wasn't that good. Crimea, Yak-1, okay, so these are better ones. Then we are going, let's see, okay, then let's change it. Let's switch to Yak-7B because we're that hardcore. We are elite. Stalingrad, we are going to fly. You know, P-39. That sounds like a crappy choice actually because of the spin characteristics. Rhzev. Okay, let's see. Yak-1B. Okay, why not? Actually, Yak-7B is probably worse than Yak-1B, okay, because of the weird naming convention that the Soviets had. But that's fine. Let's do that. Then Stalingrad, we're gonna fly a Yak-9. Okay, that sounds good. Rhzev again, because well, if you don't know what happened at Rhzev, go watch Soviet Storm, or actually I will link it later. I will link it to the video about the Battle of Rhzev when we get there. It was a slaughterhouse. It was a meat grinder. Zhukov really messed it up. Over 1 million Soviet soldiers died or were wounded, and that's on the low side. On the low side. These are the official Soviet and Russian data on the killed and wounded. A lot more died and were wounded there. It was horrible, horrible. Colonel David Glantz, but you don't speak Russian, but Gerasimova in the 1980s, she was the Russian historian who actually researched this battle, because this battle disappeared. Orwellian type, just like in Orwell, it was deleted from official history, despite this battle taking place over a period of over 1 year, 1.5 years really. So this whole battle disappeared, which sounds incredible when you have 1 million casualties, but that's what happened. So then Gerasimova, who lived next to Rhzev, or actually in the city of Rhzev, well, the residents there were finding dead, literally going to pick some mushrooms or going on an excursion to the forest or somewhere away from the city, and the dead were everywhere. In the 60s, in the 50s, in the 70s, in the 80s, decomposing bodies, ammunition everywhere, hands, bones everywhere, literally carpets of dead. But hey, no battle took place there, right? I mean, nothing happened there. I mean, that's what the history says. So Gerasimova, a very brave Russian woman, she actually researched it on her own and found out that, hey, actually Rhzev was supposed to be the main attack in Stalingrad was the, now we're taught that Stalingrad was the main thing. No, Rhzev was the main thing. Stalingrad was just supposed to take the forces away from Rhzev. And how it worked out, we all know now, which it happened the opposite. The Soviets were actually surprised that, hey, first of all, Stalingrad was a success and Rhzev wasn't. And secondly, look how much, we backed the whole army in Stalingrad with such small forces, because the real elite and the actual main forces, the main strike forces, were Rhzev dying due to Zhukov's stupidity. Zhukov, in American history sources, they basically don't do any research. They just say, they just write what the Russians and Soviets wrote before them, because American historians are useless, basically. It's basically trash. I do not recommend any American historian Over than 2, Forczyk, who writes for Osprey, a Polish name, shocking, I know. And then Balkowski, who wrote about a single division in World War II. Those 2 historians are worth it. The rest are trash. The rest are trash. Okay, moving on from Rhzev, which we took a huge history lesson. Can't help myself, sorry. Kuban. Let's see, Yak 9. It's okay. Then we're gonna go with Yak 9D, which is better. Okay. Then we're gonna switch to Lavochkins. And yeah, we're gonna switch to Lavochkin 5Fs. Well, actually, hold on. Let's do this. Let's do Yak 9. This is 1943. Let's say we're elite unit now. We're gonna switch then to Lavochkins 5Fs. Lavochkin 5 was not a good airplane. Lavochkin 5 was better. Its F stands for faster in Russian, or turbo boosted, something like that. FN is even better. So we're gonna fly with LA5, and we're gonna see FN here, what the difference is. It should be somewhat substantial, actually. You can see that Yak 9 and 9D is 1942, 1943. Meanwhile, Yak 3 is 1944, so it's actually, this one is actually better. Again, the weird naming convention. And towards the end of the war, we are going to go with... good question. Yak 9T or Yak 9K or U. I'm just afraid to pick a ground attacker because one of them has this huge cannon in the nose, I believe the K one. And yeah, that could be an issue. If you pick a ground attacker, it will be boring because it will be strafing stuff all the time. So, well, but just to keep my interest up in the campaign, let's go with the K one. And this is the T. Interesting. Okay. Let's do that. Okay. And then Berlin. Berlin, we are going to go with something wacky. Let's go with the U. Why not? I actually have to say that I don't know what Yak 9U is, which is going to be interesting if we get there. If we survive. But okay. Well, this kind of went too long. Apology. Let's click first of all on the beginning operation, because when we generate from the beginning where we have clicked it. So if I left it on Berlin, well, we would only generate this one. So let's not do that. Let's go to Lvov and let's generate it. And I will do that on next video. But first I will check if the which yak do I want here in Berlin, Lvov, in Smolensk. See you next video.